good morning and good afternoon in Italy. Welcome to another edition of my Italian wine series on Instagram Live. I am Monica Larner. I am the Italian reviewer with the Wine Advocate. And today we have a very, very special interview with not just one person, Luciano Sandrone, but his entire family. We have Luca, Barbara, and also their two children, Alessia and Stefano. So we have the entire Sandrone group with us today. This is going to be very exciting. I can't wait to start. We are going to do it in English and parts in Italian, depending who we're talking to in the family. So we'll try to translate slowly as we go through. And I also have to say that today is a particularly important day because just yesterday, my huge report on the wines of Barolo, Barbaresco, and other regions of Piedmont was published finally, with more than 920 samples reviewed. And one of the wines that we will be talking about today, the beautiful Sandrone Le Vigne, got a perfect score of 100 points. So we'll be able to talk about that as well. So let me find the Sandrone family that should be connecting, and we will ask them to join us at, here we go. Waiting for connection. So I see a lot of people, hello from Canada. I see a lot of people checking in, and as always, oh, buongiorno, buon pomeriggio. Hi, look at everybody, gorgeous.
Good to see you. Bye,
great. I'm so happy to see you. What a beautiful morning. And a beautiful afternoon for you.
Oh, well, we had a wonderful, perfect morning, beginning of the day anyway. You know, this morning I woke up with so many messages on messengers and WhatsApp, and I wasn't able to understand, you know. I said, what's going on? I mean, normally I have just a bunch of friends texting me, and everybody was just saying the same, you know, congratulations, 100. I said, no, they must be wrong anyway. And then, you know, I checked my emails, oh my God. So, you know, what an emotion for everybody. I'm sorry, I'm speaking on behalf of everybody, but, you know, yeah, it was amazing. Thanks a lot.
Well, listen, the wines are absolutely gorgeous, and I had so much fun tasting them. I had scored, there are 5 wines that I scored with 100 points in my report. And I have to say that, you know, it's always a huge emotion and a huge responsibility as well. And no two wines are the same. They elicit different, you know, emotional responses. And the Le Vigne, from the moment I tasted it, I just thought, oh my God, wow. It just hit me with such a, you know, with such a sense of overwhelming beauty and profound nature. And I have to say, throughout this whole tasting, I was very moved, you know, because we're in this difficult time, and these wines are just so long-term. They look to the future, and it just makes you feel, you know, renewed optimism.
Oh my God, you know, I have my heart beating, I mean, racing, exploding of joy, as you said, something very special anyway. I mean, scores are very important. But, you know, you wrote amazing words. Sorry, I got emotional. Oh. I knew. I told you. I also wrote you. Because, you know, your words were coming right from the heart. So, yeah, it's, I mean, very, very special. Thanks a lot. And I'm always talking on behalf of my family anyway, of course.
Well, thank you. No, I mean, it was, you know, that's how I have to say I was so lucky, because these were just such beautiful wines to taste at this moment. And I kept going through, I'm like, oh my God, you know, this tasting is just growing into this, you know, this beautiful, you know, creation of all these different wines. And I mean, it was just quite overwhelming. So anyway, so listen, so speaking of lockdown and of all of the, you know, the difficult times we've gone through recently, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in the last couple of months and how you've been going through this this difficult time.
Yeah. Well, so as you said, anyway, we are going to speak two languages anyway. If you don't mind, I'm going to start with English, and I'm going to recap a little bit of what happened during this surreal period of time. Honestly, well, you know, my English is not so fluent, I don't know what to say, but you know, I really didn't know the word lockdown. I learned the word lockdown right because of what happened. And honestly, I really didn't have the idea. I mean, I knew, I mean, in February, I was traveling to the United States, end of January, and everything was right under our eyes because we were watching news and we knew in somehow, in some sense, anyway, was in China what was going on. But, you know, we probably never realized completely because probably because it was a little bit far away, and when things are far away, you know, you don't have the same feeling. So I left also to Australia. I went on a business trip end of February, beginning of March. Of course, with this scary feeling, my daughter was in Trento studying at the university. We were constantly keeping in touch. And at a certain point, you know, I said to Alessia, please leave Trento, go directly back home anyway, don't stop anyway, fill your car with gas, go to the restroom before leaving, make a sandwich for your own self and go home without stopping, exactly. And then I came back on Saturday the 7th of March. I was afraid to be stopped in Dubai for my quarantine. Then luckily, you know, the flight left Dubai to Milan and I was able to reach home. And from that moment, we went down in this lockdown and, well, my God, I mean, difficult really to explain as, you know, I never lived something similar. I never experienced something similar. The fact of being, I mean, forced to be home, to stay inside, not seeing anybody, not going outside. I mean, luckily we got the authorization because the winery is in the agriculture sector. So we had the authorization from the government to continue to work because nature doesn't stop. And so luckily, you know, we all together and our team were able to come every day at the winery to work directly into the vineyards, into the fields, taking care of our vines. And they were just, you know, the opposite of us. I mean, somehow smiling, you know, at the perfect weather conditions, smiling to nature. Because there was a tremendous, but in a positive way, silence around. You know, no cars, no planes, no trucks, no tractors, even no tractors. And so, you know, it was like going back in the old days, just people and vines, people and nature. Then, well, of course, I never closed the offices. I mean, the offices always remain open. I was constantly going there every day because I wanted to take care of our customers. Because in somehow, and especially here in Italy, you know, there were some wine stores with the license of selling also food and wine together. So they were supplying, they were doing food deliveries home to our customers. And so they were continue to buy wine, ordering wine. So, I mean, it wasn't that much, but at least something, you know, more was a gesture to make other people happy and pleased. So we slowly took, you know, day by day, in somehow pinching ourselves every day because we couldn't believe what was going on. We unfortunately lost some friends, a couple of people here in Puvolo, I mean, in Lamora, I mean, around. Yeah, it was a sad period of time. But anyway, we are back. And hopefully stronger than ever.
Exactly. Hopefully stronger than ever. And, you know, it's true that we all learned lessons on the virtue of being at home and the virtue of watching the spring unfold. You know, it's been a pretty magical year on certain levels. Yeah. Listen, so I wanted to ask you to Luciano, to give us a little bit of history of the winery, of the estate, and to bring us back in time to the beginnings.
I'm translating quickly. La storia dell'azienda, della tua storia, dall'inizio a oggi.
La mia storia è nata nel 78 praticamente, ecco, ho avuto l'occasione di acquistare un piccolo vigneto in Canubi Boschis, e diciamo che in quel momento lì era un gioco, un divertimento, è durato poco perché in breve tempo è diventato un lavoro, un vero lavoro. Ecco.
So Luciano is saying that he bought his first parcel in 1978 in the Canubi Boschis. And he started off with kind of, you know, more playful intentions, and then it quickly became a serious job.
It's true.
Negli anni successivi ho avuto occasione di comprare e prendere in affitto anche altre particelle, e siamo usciti finalmente con l'etichetta Canubi Boschis.
So then, so basically he's, over the course of time, Luciano said that he bought other small parcels of vineyards, and he then released his wine Canubi Boschis. I think you have a bottle there that we can show, no? Abbiamo anche una bottiglia da mostrare, che così vediamo l'etichetta. So this is the bottle. Yeah. Okay.
In quel momento ero ancora impegnato al lavoro con la Marchese di Barolo, di conseguenza questo era comunque un lavoro, era un secondo lavoro, via.
Mm-hmm.
L'euforia mi ha preso, la passione, e ho iniziato subito dopo, con l'annata 90, a produrre un altro Barolo che da subito ho chiamato Le Vigne, perché era un assemblaggio esattamente di vigneti diversi. Devo dire che all'inizio erano inizialmente 2 vigneti, oggi sono diventati 4 vigneti importanti sul territorio sulla zona del Barolo.
So, so Luciano was saying that he, back at the beginning, he had 2 jobs. Basically, he was working with Marchese di Barolo, and he was also starting his own project. And in 1990, he came out with more production, and he started making the wine that I just held up, Le Vigne, which was his second wine after Canubi Boschis. And it started off with a blend of 2 parcels, and today it's become a blend of 4 parcels. And Luciano, forse ci può dire quali erano le prime 2 cru e quali sono oggi?
Allora, intanto i primi 2 cru erano 2 vigneti in Barolo, in Vignane e in Le Coste. Okay. L'idea.
So it started off. Oh, I'm sorry.
Pardon.
No, I'll just say, so when Le Vigne started off, it was all fruit from Barolo. The 2 crus were Vignane e Le Coste.
L'idea era quella di un'idea della tradizione. Il Barolo si è sempre prodotto con l'assemblaggio di più vigneti, e quella che era la mia idea in quel momento era di lavorare più vigneti diversi, assemblarli poi per fare un Barolo che rispecchiasse un po' la zona del Barolo, territorio.
So in Barolo tradition, Barolo's always represented a blend of different fruit from different vineyard sites. And Luciano is saying that in order to respect that tradition and to continue with it, that's why he wanted to have Le Vigne as a blended wine from different cru sites, to be able to pay homage to that respect of how Barolo was made traditionally.
Ecco, io sono andato un po' veloce, comunque oggi da un po' di anni sono quattro vigneti importanti che esprimono, a mio modo di vedere, un po' tutta la zona del Barolo. Cioè partiamo da Serralunga con Baudana, Castiglione e Villero, Barolo rimane sempre Vignane, e a Novello e Merli. Sono quattro vigneti decisamente diversi, quattro vigneti importanti, quattro più importanti, molto diversi per l'esposizione, per l'altitudine, per il terreno. Quattro espressioni ben diverse.
So the current blend is very specific and very interesting because it involves fruit from 4 different comuni or townships. You have the Baudana Cru in Serralunga d'Alba. Then you have the Villero Cru in Castiglione Faletto. And again, in Barolo, the Vignane Cru. And then in Novello, the Merli Cru.
Exactly.
Ecco, la cosa importante è che riusciamo da sempre, ecco, l'idea, ecco, è quella di seguire i vigneti in maniera proprio separata, distinta, cioè i vigneti vengono vendemmiati in momenti diversi proprio perché hanno esigenza di maturazione diversa, vengono vinificati separatamente e vengono in cantina affinati separatamente, per poi durante il periodo di affinamento cercare qual è la combinazione migliore per fare il miglior Barolo.
So each site obviously comes to maturity. The fruit ripens at different paces. So the harvests are scattered over different period to make sure every parcel is harvested at the correct time. The wines, the fruit comes in, is fermented separately and even aged separately, so that by the end, the final blend can be made, gauging what qualities they're looking for from each parcel.
Ecco, voglio precisare che è sempre stata un'idea questa, ecco. Chiaramente ci è voluto un po' di tempo, adesso veramente è un po' di anni che lavoriamo con questi vigneti e devo dire che il risultato è un risultato molto interessante e molto soddisfacente.
So Luciano was saying that he's worked like this for a long time, steadily, carefully. I'm adding my words there, and that he's very satisfied with the final results. We all are. Siamo tutti molto soddisfatti. Sono vini bellissimi. They're beautiful wines, all of them.
Grazie.
So, thank you, Luciano. So listen, I was going to suggest we wanted to talk a little bit about we started a little bit with the origins of Canubi Boschis and Le Vigne, but we also have other wines that I wanted to discuss. So I think maybe probably the best thing is to go directly to Aleste, which is the continuation, I guess you could say, of Canubi Boschis. And maybe, Luca, you want to tell us a little bit about the change in name and if the wine has changed in any way otherwise. So basically, Aleste would be Canubi Boschis in a more in its new name, I guess. Its new.
Yes, simply rebranded.
Rebranded, exactly.
Il cambiamento all'est, cioè Canubi Boschi all'est.
Sì, sì.
Ma io, se posso permettermi, volevo ancora sottolineare una cosa sulle vigne.
Certo.
Che sicuramente si è capito da quello che ha detto Luciano, ma il Le Vigne non è assolutamente un secondo Barolo. e per Sandrone un Barolo al pari del Canubi Boschis della Leste, nel senso che è un assemblaggio di grandi vigne e non è il Barolo, tra virgolette, normale o il Barolo base, ma vuole essere veramente l'espressione vera del Barolo, della miscela dei territori della zona del Barolo. Ed è per questo che vengono vinificate separatamente, invecchiate separatamente, e solo con l'assemblaggio si va a cercare di centrare l'obiettivo.
So Luca is saying something very important because he wants to underline the fact that Le Vigna is in no way a second wine to Aleste or the old Canubi Boschis. It is an equal wine. It just follows a more traditional approach. And that's specifically why the fruit is drawn from different parcels and then vinified separately so that they can make the exact blend that they want in that year, the expression of that year. And, you know, in different, this is Monica adding now, in different portfolios of different producers, many times you have a blended Barolo that's the classic blend, or, you know, it's a lower priced Barolo, and then on top of it you have the single vineyards. But what Luca is saying is that it's very important to understand that these wines are seen as equal. They're not put on that other classification that might be followed by different producers in the region.
Ed è fondamentale, sono fondamentali due cose. Uno, quello di avere a disposizione delle quantità di vino importante e non avere l'obbligo di doverli utilizzare tutti. Questo ci consente di miscelare la potenza di Baudana con l'eleganza di Villero, la dolcezza di Vignane e la freschezza di Merli in modo equilibrato e giusto tutti gli anni.
Yeah, and he's adding that, I mean, having a generous supply or good access to a lot of fruit from every site is really important, because you can't make the blend that you want to make unless you have that access and you can really evaluate, I'm going to get the power from Serralunga, I'm going to get the freshness from Merli, I'm going to get, you know, the different qualities that every parcel brings to the final blend. You have to have, you know, a big palette of colors in front of you to be able to make that final blend.
Per quanto riguarda invece il Canubi Boschis, che è stato l'unico cru ad essere lavorato sempre ed esclusivamente in purezza, e il suo cambio di nome, che cosa dire, secondo me è stato il più bel regalo che Luciano poteva fare ai propri nipoti, perché con l'unione dei nomi dei nipoti abbiamo neanche creato, perché non è che si è creato, si è semplicemente dedicato questo vino.
So Luca is saying that the change in name was actually one of the most beautiful gifts that the grandfather of Alessia and Stefano could ever give, because what happened is that they changed the name in Aleste, which is actually the two names, Alessia and Stefano, put together in one name. So.
Exactly. And we have the protagonist, you know.
They are the protagonist.
And stay. Exactly.
Io vorrei intervenire un attimo.
Sì, perché penso che sia più...
He has to say something, of
Ho
course.
tanta difficoltà da parte mia parlare dei due vini. Per me sono due vini, come ha detto giustamente Luca, due vini importanti. Io dico, sono due figli, chiaramente due figli diversi, però rimangono comunque sempre due figli importanti.
So Luciano is saying something very beautiful. He's saying, you know, just like I have two wines that I see as two children, as two, you know, two sons and daughters, and it mirrors perfectly the fact that, you know, I have two grandchildren that I see with equal love and importance.
Yes, thanks. Precisely that. Your English is amazing. Let me say that.
Thank you. You know, it's hard. It's hard to go back through, you know, the change.
It's a tough job anyway, translating.
I mean, people who do translation as a career, you have to give them a lot of credit. It's hard.
I think they have two brains. Yes, two minds.
Exactly. So listen, I wanted to just to ask you a little bit. The one that I always love that you make is this Nebbiolo d'Alba Valmaggiore, and I just love it because it is at a lower price point, and you get this incredible Nebbiolo intensity and purity. And I'm just fascinated by the Valmaggiore vineyard site, which is a very steep and difficult to farm area. It's a big cru, and it you know, it shows a little bit of a different personality than you would get in the area of Barolo. So I wanted to give you guys a chance to tell me a little bit more about this wine and how it fits into your portfolio at Sandrone.
No, with great pleasure. Thanks a lot also, absolutely, for mentioning our Valmaggiore. Well, of course, I have to let Luciano talking because everything started from his heart. Luca, of course, is, you know, when we saw this piece of land, this vineyard, oh my God, we got immediately in love anyway, despite how slope, how steep it is anyway, but we knew precisely that we could have done something extremely special. I'm just going to translate for Luca.
Okay.
Valmaggiore, insomma, che lei è stata sempre molto affascinata, solo di nuovo, perché il perché, insomma. Certo. Quindi Luciano perché è nato da lui, poi quando ci ha portato là noi ci siamo innamorati e da lì, insomma.
Scusa, un attimo solo, scusa, voglio dire, ecco, questa è un'altra cosa nostra, voluta veramente. Io ho sempre, nella mia storia, quest'anno sono 55 vendemmie che ho fatto, ecco. Ho sempre sentito dire che nel Roero c'era un vigneto importante ed era ritenuto importante, tanto è vero che il prezzo dell'uva sul territorio veniva fatto un po' riferimento a quello che era il risultato di questo vigneto. Questo vigneto, io dico, è un vigneto di pari importanza nel Roero come il Cannubi nel Barolo. Chiaramente è un vino, per carità, decisamente diverso, però un vino importante.
So Luciano is saying he's underlining how important this site is. And just so that you understand, it's not in the same area of Barolo. It's in an outlying region called Roero. And he said that he has been making wine. This is his 55th harvest. And from the beginning of time, he was told about this special vineyard in this region, the Valmaggiore vineyard, and he knew of its reputation. And he said that even from, you know, from a while, the price of fruit from the Valmaggiore was higher because people recognize its quality. And he says that Valmaggiore is to Roero what Cannubi is to Barolo.
Yes.
Niente, il Valmaggiore, che dire, è un'altra chicca della nostra famiglia, secondo me. Luciano è un uomo che non ha mai fatto qualcosa per caso, è un'etichetta che non è nata per aggiungere qualcosa a un listino, è un vino che nasce dal desiderio di far conoscere questa zona e diciamo una personalità completamente diversa del Nebbiolo, di un Nebbiolo che, a differenza di un Barolo barbaresco, si esprime per eleganza, per finezza, che già sono caratteristiche tipiche del vitigno Nebbiolo, ma che nel Roero, sulle sabbie di Valmaggiore, si esaltano e danno questo prodotto che io ritengo unico.
So Luca is saying that the idea of adding the Nebbiolo from Valmaggiore wasn't to try to just fill out the portfolio, but they really wanted to show the expression of that particular territory and to show the qualities of Nebbiolo from that vineyard. So of course, it shows the elegance and the finesse that you would expect of a Nebbiolo, but because the soils in that site are sandier, you get an even more delicate expression.
Yes.
È un vigneto che è stato cercato, che è stato voluto, è stato messo insieme acquistando da tantissimi piccoli proprietari. Si è creato questo anfiteatro ripidissimo che ci costa tante ore di lavoro, sì, con una densità di impianto nettamente più alta rispetto a quello che c'è nella zona del Barolo, del Barbaresco, dove la meccanizzazione non esiste e dove ovviamente si fanno tanti sacrifici, ma abbiamo anche tante piccole soddisfazioni.
So Luca is describing, so the Valmaggiore vineyard is like a huge amphitheater. It's incredibly steep, and it is, there are many, many different producers who farm there. So it's like a little patchwork of different producers who all farm in the same site. And the density of the planting is much, it's denser there. And you cannot do, all the labor has to be manual because you can use no mechanization whatsoever, just because of the steepness of the site.
Fortunatamente abbiamo una squadra che condivide la nostra passione, anche loro lo fanno con passione, pur facendo tanta fatica, ma poi c'è un grande risultato.
And Luciano saying that everybody works there with a lot of passion because you need that to work in such difficult terrain. Okay, so I'm going to switch to a very special one. Oh, scusami Luca, go ahead.
No, dicevo che anche qui vorrei sottolineare che il Valmaggiore non è un sottoprodotto del Barolo, ma è di nuovo una punta di diamante del Roero.
So Luca is saying that he wants to make sure that that the Valmaggiore is not seen as a lower product, but as an expression of this particular vineyard in this site. That it's its own unique expression.
Thanks a lot. And then we're going to switch, but just let me say that one actually doesn't speak Italian, Valmaggiore, because sometimes it's difficult to pronounce anyway, but if we explain the meaning, then it's going to be easy to remember. Means major valley. Val is valley, maggiore, major. So already, I mean, the name says already a lot.
Here you go, the major valley.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. I didn't realize that I wasn't showing the bottle anyway.
No,
so
no, it was...
major valley.
Ciao Giuseppe. It's why I love seeing Giuseppe. He follows every week.
Yeah, well, without my glasses, I can't read anything. But you know, I see hearts.
You see. Listen, if anybody has any questions, please, you know, with all the translation in the bottles, we'll try to get the questions in as well. Okay, so Alessia.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks so much for this interview.
You're welcome. Thank you. Listen, so Alessia, we have a very special wine to talk about, and I know that your mom was just saying that you completed your thesis talking about this wine. So there is no better person to ask to explain the newest release or the newest project really of Vita Tallinn. So this is it's a very special bottle. I have the 2014 here. And I wanted you to give us a little bit of background on this special wine, which has an incredible, incredible story.
Yeah, so I'm doing this project. I mean, I'm trying to extract the virus from this vine, but I don't want to take the place of anyone because this is my grandpa and my uncle project. I'm just doing a little work. The big work is made by my family. So my thesis talking about, I mean, trying to extract the virus and understand if the vine works in the same way without the virus. So I'm trying to explain in a very easy way, but it isn't, because I'm working on this project in for 1.5 years, because I need to wait that the vine grow up to try to extract the virus. I mean, I'm doing that to take the top of the shoots, l'apice vegetativo. Non so, scusa, come si traduce in inglese.
The greenest part of the shoot or the top of the shoot.
The very top.
The top, because the virus at the top is not able to reproduce because the cells are very small. So I'm trying to take the top, but it's just like 1 millimeter or less, and put in a oven, and I need to wait 1 month at 40 degrees just to try to eliminate the virus, and wait that the top that is with this treatment grow up. And I'm just in this phase, so I'm waiting that the vine grow up and try to verify that the virus is eliminated in a well done way, and see if the vine is working in the same way that gives the same result with or without the virus.
So you don't know the results yet, no? You're still...
Because
still studying.
Still studying, because with this lockdown, I wasn't able to go, I wasn't allowed to go to the university. So I'm not doing this. I do not have this result yet.
But maybe, Barbara, you can take us also back, because this is a project that also started 30 years ago. So you can give us a little bit of background how...
everything started anyway. No, for sure. This is an amazing story. Again, it's a story talking about heart and how sensitive Luciano always been anyway. As Luciano was saying before, you know, his first wine was Barolo Canui Boschis from the single vineyard. But in his mind, he's always had this Barolo talking, expressing about the region, about Barolo's district. So in his mind, he's always had Le Vigne, not as a name anyway, but as a concept. So in order to make this wine, he had to find some other lands, some other vineyards around, and of course also outside Barolo. But you know, at the time he was working full time for another winery, he said, Marchesi Barolo, so it was a little bit challenging. Job full time, making wine, and then introducing another wine, moving far away. So I got in touch with a farmer, Ronzana Natale is the name, and translated in Piemontese, Tallinn. So Tallinn was also getting older. He had a son, and he signed the one to continue to work into the fields. So Tallinn approached my dad and said, you know, I know that you're looking for a vineyard where I have this vineyard in Le Coste, but it's not the site. Is really now, I mean, we're talking about the vine, but anyway, the vine was in Le Coste, here in Barolo, so it could be also practical for you to come. I can also help you to farm the vineyard if you don't have so much time. So, you know, actually it was a good deal anyway between the two. And my dad was, of course, working also there sometimes, but mostly double checking what was going on. And he noticed a vine that was, let's say, misbehaving or behaving in a different way compared to the rest. So
it was a single vine that he noticed.
Yes, exactly, a single one. The vegetation was different, and mostly the size of the bunch anyway, the clusters are smaller, loss, and especially the size of the berries, very, very small. So he was also complaining with Tallinn and say, but Tallinn, what are you doing here? It seems that all the time when you come here, you know, you forget to train or to farm this vine, because it was really, I don't want to say such a mess, but really vegetating in a different way. So he didn't have a response, honestly. And the chance, anyway, the case happened right in '89 when Luca was almost finishing the enological school in Alba. At that time were 6 school years, and mostly the last school year they were mostly studying about genetic. And he got in touch with a group of professors coming from the university in Turin. There was this ampelographer, Dr. Anna Schneider, an Italian woman, but with so much passion anyway. So Luca said, why don't you come anyway in one of our vineyards, because we have something to show you. So they came and they asked Luciano, but what do you think about his vine? And he said, well, I can only say that's a Nebbiolo to me. And she said, well, Luciano, you probably are right, but unfortunately, I don't have any scientific test to tell you precisely that's a Nebbiolo. We are talking about the 89, 90s, you know, really the best.
So it could have been, I mean, it could have been anything really at that point. I mean, you didn't know, it acts like a Barolo, acts like a Nebbiolo, but it doesn't actually, you know, look like a Nebbiolo because of the smaller fruit size and...
Exactly, because the size of the berries, because the shape of the leaves. Leaves are amazing anyway, are thicker. And also, I'm not sure about in English, furry. I mean, there's so much hair on the top.
Right, more of a hair sensation.
More wild in somehow. So she said that, you know, the only solution I can suggest you is to graft this vine onto other vines and give it the time to make fruit and to start vinifying those grapes anyway, in order to see the final result on the wine. So it took a while, of course, because she suggested to graft these new vines on a way to move these new vines away from the original one, because she said maybe there are the neighbors' vines interfering with this one, or maybe there are some bacteria into the soil. So they did, and actually Luca wanted to have someone part of the family to help doing this grafting, because first of all we knew somehow that the vine was with some virus, and so we couldn't in a way bring this vine away. Second,
so that explains then Alessia's passion
exactly.
by following this,
Exactly, and then we
to really find out, right, what is going on.
My God, unbelievable. And then we wanted to do this grafting at home because we wanted to make sure what we were doing. And then Luciano never lost attention on his wine. He started vinifying in a different way, also pulling out, let's say this way, all his know-how he got from working at Giacomo Borgogno in a very traditional way, longer maceration in oak, big casks, something that he got also from Marchese Barolo, you know, really trying, experimenting. And at the end, you know, this wine was always sold in bulk because we didn't know precisely what it was. It was a red table wine. Luciano got his heart surgery in 2015, December. And then when he came back home from the hospital, from the clinic, he said, don't forget about that wine because I want that wine bottle. We said, oh my God, and what are we going to do with this wine? Because we don't know what it is. And he said, doesn't matter, we're going to keep this wine for the family. And then at the end, by a chance anyway, Luca met again the ampelographer, and she said, now we have tool instruments, scientific results to go through the DNA and to say also what kind of virus are affecting this vine. That's why Alessia now is able to work on that. And so this is a new clone of Nebbiolo, of course located in Barolo, so it's a Barolo wine. Vite in Italian means vine, so it's the single expression of a single vine, clone, a new one. Tallinn in honor of the former owner. Yeah.
So it takes the concept even one step further, you know, in an appellation that's so specialized on the details, on the, you know, on the cru sites, on the vineyard sites. This takes it to an actual single grapevine, you know, that has had a 30-year history over time to be watched, to be observed, to be vinified by Luciano, and now by Alessia, to be studied from a scientific point of view, to look at the viruses. And then now you know that this is its own kind of genetic, unique material.
Probably, you know, there are some other clones around, we also saw some vines prune, and also some stolen grapes, but you know, we were at least the first one bringing this clone into a lab. And then, like Luciano said, you know, for Canui Boschis / Aleste, Parolo Le Vigne, 2 kids, absolutely, you know, different personalities, but 2 extremely important kids. Again, anyway, this vine was like another kid, maybe behave in a different way, because we are all different. So the sensitivity that Luciano had was the fact of not uprooting the vine just because it was behaving differently, but to cultivate, to understand, and to help to express its best. And at the end, Vitatalin.
Wow.
Maybe I said much, I don't know, because there are no.
No. I mean, it's quite a journey. So, how many bottles? How many bottles are you making of Vitatalin right now? How small is the production?
Yeah, the production is very teeny-weeny. We never bottle a single wine. A small production like that is around 2,000 bottles. Maybe, you know, some vintages 2,200. Some less anyway, 1,800. But the intention is absolutely not to grow the production, because for a very how can I say, easy reason anyway, simple reason. Because if we're going to increase the production, it means that we're going to graft some other vines.
Graft more.
And we are going to have vines of different age. So we are not going to have the same result. So so far anyway, is from 3 little vineyards, Le Coste, Drucca, and Rivassi in Barolo, but that is going to be the production. And let me say, and then I'm going to close, because we need to make it shorter anyway, is a 6 years Barolo. It's not a Riserva, it's a Barolo denomination. 3 years, spends 3 years in oak, different sizes, big casks, tonneau, and again, other oval cask, and 3 years in bottle before releasing time. That's why right now we have 2014 vintage.
Somebody is asking what the taste profile is, and I can say from my experience, I mean, there's an intensity there, and there's a precision. It's, you know, it's Nebbiolo, but it's, you know, there's like a kind of more of a dark fruit maybe personality, and but again, very linear, very tight. So I don't know if you have.
That's an amazing question. I mean, because sometimes it's difficult really to explain a taste when you cannot taste it anyway. But absolutely what you said is absolutely right. Then, you know, because nothing is... non lasciamo nulla al caso, nothing for granted, sorry, here at the winery. So Luca has some scientific explanation. Diceva, ma di cosa sa questo vino, come si aggiagia? Io ho detto, vabbè, è difficile sempre. Lei ha detto che è molto intenso, però tu il fatto che hai lo studio della dimensione dell'acido, della concentrazione...
E a livello gustativo, perché è diverso?
Beh, intanto volevo sottolineare ancora una cosa, bisogna partire dal momento storico. In quegli anni il mondo andava verso, il mondo della ricerca del Nebbiolo andava verso l'omologazione, cioè il fare dei cloni che fossero produttivi, che fossero diciamo costanti, e Luciano ha avuto l'intuito di andare a cercare qualcosa di diverso, cioè una cosa che fosse che avesse delle caratteristiche diciamo agronomiche e poi enologiche completamente diverse da quello che era la ricerca del momento. Quindi anche in quella fase Luciano è stato, io non voglio dire innovatore, è stato diverso da quello che era l'andamento, ecco.
So Luca is saying that, Yeah, when 30 years ago when this vine was first identified, that at the time the main what people wanted to do was find constant qualities in Nebbiolo. They weren't looking for different things. They weren't looking for the exception to the rule. So already from that sense, Luciano had a very forward vision to identify the differences in this one vine and not discard them, to embrace vines that were more consistent, or more vines that produced in a more classic way, or traditional way.
La peculiarità, la caratteristica di questa vite, di questo Vite-Talin, che è quella che ha notato Luciano, cioè l'acino piccolo, la produzione naturalmente bassa, il grappolo spargolo, ci siamo poi accorti dopo lo spessore maggiore della buccia, la minor presenza di succo, sono tutte caratteristiche che portano a questo vino così ricco, così cupo, così intenso, così concentrato.
So yeah, Luca's saying that even just from the physical characteristics of the grape, you can kind of get an idea of the taste profile, because it has a smaller berry, the clusters are a little bit looser, the yields are lower in this vine, the skins are thicker, and there's a little bit less juice inside the berry, so you have more thickness and more concentration.
Quindi partiamo da una produzione più bassa, con dei grappoli più piccoli, con degli acini più piccoli, con una resa in vino più bassa, per ottenere appunto questo vino così ricco e così concentrato, che va un attimino addomesticato, va domato con le tecniche che abbiamo imparato negli anni, con una vinificazione. È un vino che praticamente vede esclusivamente legno, come diceva Barbara, la vinificazione di un tino, il primo affinamento in tonneau, un secondo affinamento in botte più grande e poi tanta bottiglia.
So Luca is saying that, yeah, so that you get this more concentrated fruit, and it has to be and it has to be softened in a way, or it has to be dominated, he uses the word, by all the techniques that they've learned over the years in terms of winemaking, using wood, changing, starting off for the aging in tonneau, and then moving to botte grande, giving it more bottle time, and giving the wine ample time to kind of integrate and come together.
Ancora una caratteristica
del
vitigno è quello di avere una reazione che noi reputiamo bellissima nei confronti delle avversità, quindi una resistenza maggiore alle malattie della vite, ma soprattutto una reazione molto molto buona alle annate difficili. È un vino, è un'uva che non patisce la botrite, è un'uva che matura in qualsiasi condizione, anzi in annate tipo la 2014 riesce ad esprimersi in un modo, cioè il gap rispetto a un nebbiolo normale aumenta, quindi si avvantaggia ulteriormente nelle annate difficili. E con questo
Luca's adding that they noticed throughout the time they've worked with this with Vite-Talin, that the grapes are more resistant to fungal diseases, and it performs very nicely even in the more difficult years, like 2014, which could be considered a more difficult year for the area. Yeah. Listen, before we leave, Stefano. I wanted to ask you to give us a little bit of information on your late release program, which I find also fascinating. A lot of people are doing this now, and it's particularly interesting, especially now when we go through a year like 2016, when people are looking to put their wines down, to lock them down. And you guys have been doing this with this late release program, in which wines are released CB in pouches 10 years after the harvest. And so you've actually built a new part of the winery to give space for this aging and to let this program go forward. And I was wondering if you could give us a little bit of information why your family decided to do this. Ah, scusami.
No, 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 no. No, he speaks English anyway, but maybe he's
Okay.
shy. He does in Italian, ok.
Sì, i baggi sono...
Stefano, ti ho visto lì, non potevo non chiederti.
Fatto bene.
Sì, i baggi sono un progetto. Per i Baroli teniamo 10 anni in cantina e al simbolo d'oro, e per il Val Maggiore, quindi nel Biro d'Alba, sono solo 6 anni. E questo progetto comunque aiuta a far capire le potenzialità di quello che può arrivare un Barolo e anche un Biro d'Alba. Ed è un marchio di garanzia che comunque noi teniamo le bottiglie in cantina e dopo 10 anni le mettiamo poi sul mercato, ed è solo un accantonamento della produzione, quindi lo stesso imbottigliamento che viene solo accantonato e messo in cantina.
So Stefano was saying that, so when you see, if you, this little golden seal that says CB Pouches right here is kind of a mark of their long aging program, and they do it for 3 wines. They do it for the 2 Baroli, the Aleste and Le Vigne, and those are released 10 years after the harvest. And they also do it for the Nebbiolo d'Alba Val Maggiore, and it's released 6 years after the harvest.
Exactly. Well done.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yes, exactly. Amazing. Anyway, so we need to stay lower than 1 hour. So 3 minutes left.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's been great speaking to you all. And, you know, Alessia, good luck with your research. It's actually very exciting. And I mean, it's amazing that you have this opportunity to study, you know, something indirectly in your family's possession and a project that's going forward like that. And Stefano, how about you? What are you studying now, or what are your plans for?
Yeah, I'm the 4th year in the high school in Grinsale Cavour.
Agriculture.
I'm studying the agriculture.
In general, yes.
Yeah.
But he's an amazing chef. He doesn't say, but he's also an amazing chef.
He's an amazing chef.
The family, the house, the winery. Yes.
That's great. No, there's a lot of good time to cook during all these months. So.
Yes. So, Monica, to you, to us.
Thank you. I don't have a glass, but listen, I'll put out.
Don't worry about it. We have the wine anyway. Don't worry. You have the bottle.
I have my coffee.
Yes. Why not?
All right, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and thank you so much for making the time. Congratulations again on beautiful wines always, and from the 2016 vintage. And I look forward to tasting next year's wines, hopefully in person with you at the winery. Yes. So we'll be out of this weird situation.
For sure.
And really, Luca, Luciano, Barbara, Stefano, Alessia, thank you so much. You're a beautiful family. I kept seeing so many comments saying, you know, what a beautiful family, what a beautiful family. So it's very nice to see you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Grazie.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao. Ciao. Ciao.